In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum. I am Kashaf from Chemistry Department and my ID is 018. Moving toward the next course of my project SQL, which is Introduction to the SQL Server, and it is a little bit similar to the Introduction to the SQL of our first course. So in this chapter, we will learn how to use important SQL Server aggregate functions such as sum, count, min, max, and average, etc. And by following that, we will learn how to manipulate text fields to round out the chapters, and we will power up your queries using ground by and having up aggregate functions. So this introduction to SQL Server also has these three chapters. First is selection box, in which we will use simple selections, order by using where again, and etc. Grouping strings and counting things by using count, sum, min, max, and average statements, and then are joining tables like left join and right join. So the first is aggregating data. To start an understanding of a new data set, it's common to count the number of the observations and summaries any numeric columns contains. So in aggregating data, we will learn how to perform using SQL examples with the grid databases. And in aggregating data, we will learn how to sum single column, how to sum multiple columns, how to count, how to use arrays, how to mix and minus the tables. So starting with how to sum single column. As we know that it's straightforward to obtain the sum of a single column. So starting with select type sum, then open parentheses, then type the column name, then close the parentheses, and we should also provide a meaningful alias, otherwise the result will be returned as no column name, so which will get confusingly very quickly. So in the example of single column, we can see that we have to calculate the total amount of column with value sum with brackets, and we will write sum affected columns as total affected columns from the grid table. The second one is how to sum two or more columns. For summing up in two or more columns, we have an original sum query. We want to sum another column. Any idea on how we should do this? It's very simple. We just need to add an additional sum statement wrapping out our extra column in parentheses and aliased as before, and we need to repeat this for each additional column and we want to sum. So in the second example, we can say that firstly we have select sum affected customer as total affected from grid. We have just sum of one column, but in the second example we can see that we have select sum affected customer as total affected and then sum demand loss as total loss. These are two columns that we have sum up. So in this way we can easily sum up two or more columns. The second one is uses alias. Basically it's right to use alias in any column. Why we use alias? Probably we are not going to remember what these columns are, so don't forget to use alias to provide a meaningful name to your result, because alias from any common name can helpful to lessen our defaults. So we will choose select sum affected customer sum demand loss from grid. This is as we did that when we have used in parentheses, there is no column name, but when we use as alias as total affected as total loss, we will get the column name total affected and total loss, as we can see that in the second example. So by using alias we can lessen our defects of no column issues. Now the third is how to count. The simplest count query will return a count of the number of rows in the total particular column, and for example we have select count of affected customer as count affected from the grid, and the count affected is 807 as in the given example, and the count distinct is simply count, which may not be that useful. However, we use distinct to obtain a count of unique values or adding a where class, and which can make the result much more meaningful. So select count distinct effective customers as unique count affected from group, and we will get unique count affected, which is 280 from 807. So the results are more precise and more simple. So next is min class. To return the minimum value from a column, we use the min functions, and again with parentheses and providing a column alias, we may need to amend this query, and in this case there are data quality issues. For example, if there are many zeros values, you may want to exclude them from the results, and we can exclude them from the result by using a min. So select min affected customer as min affected customers from the grid, and in the result we can see that min affected customers are 0, which are then excluded from the table. The max function is same as min function. We can use the max functions to obtain the maximum column value, same as min function column value. And this is the example of summing up all the columns. We have select some demand class as MRO demand class, as we use alias. From grid we have also used where class, where demand class should not contain null values and demand class is not equals to 1. This is a certificate of accomplishment that I have gotten from Datacamp, and thank you. That's all from my side.